Hello and welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. I'm your host, Sonali Nigam. Today I'm joined by Jamie Farrar, MD at Comfort Plus Products. Hi, Jamie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for asking. We are very glad to have you today. So, would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Sure. As you mentioned, my name is Jamie Farrar. I'm the managing director of Comfort Plus. We are a family business, and for the last 26 years, we have helped over 65s boost their independence. And we do that specifically through providing high quality riser recliner chairs and adjustable beds. For me, I've worked at the business, but I've grown up in the business. I remember being in there since I was like 8 years old, helping out, but full time since I was 18. So I started off in helping out with deliveries in the office. I went to sales, moved over to operations. I kind of found a real love for business growth, so I ventured into there. And fortunately, 2 years ago, I was proposed the idea of becoming managing director. And January 2025, I started.
Wow. So, you said since 8 years, you've been in the business, you've seen it in and out. So many years within the business, what do you attribute your growth to?
Good question. I'd say from a personal side, I'd say growth really came about 7 years ago for me. And my wife might say that's when I met her, and that's what the growth stemmed from. I'm sure it's played a part of it, but really, I'd say at that point there, I became a keen learner. I think that's the difference for me. I started reading books. I wanted to read books about marketing. I wanted to read books about business growth, operating structures within businesses. I wanted to learn, where my role I perceived it going to get one step ahead of the game. And I listened to podcasts, go to courses. So I just became an avid learner.
Wow.
And that's been really key for my growth. And then I'd say as I've grown further, so now I'm in the managing director seat, I'm now joining peer groups. I've got a mentor on board. I'm trying to take it to that next level for the next stage of growth as well. So yeah, for me personally, it's just becoming a keen learner and having a good wife.
Oh, wow. No, I am sure she has so much credit to be given. Having said that, you talked about being a book reader. You talked about being so much interested in getting that knowledge. So, Jamie, any book recommendation that you would like to give to the viewers? Something that has
Yeah,
turned out for you? Something that changed your perspective? Any book recommendation?
a keen one that I really enjoyed reading. It wasn't the most fascinating read, but it helped create a real structure for Comfort Plus. Was Gino Wickman's Traction,
Right.
and that really helped us create an operating system within Comfort Plus. So we set ourselves annual goals. We then had quarterly meetings to set objectives to hit the goals. We had bi-weekly meetings to have checkups to see if we're performing against the objectives. I mean, that's just one part of the book, but it really created a structure. Whereas beforehand, there was maybe ad hoc meetings or maybe meetings that didn't need to take place. There was a lack of structure behind it all. But by having that and having that discipline, you then realize that you're hitting your goals a lot sooner than you were beforehand.
Wow. Wow. No, thank you so much for that, Jamie. Jamie, so what is the biggest misconceptions about running a business and how a family-run business is different from, a normal business? The
Yeah.
pros and cons, if you would like to share. And yeah, so yes, over to you for some views on this.
Sure. So I'll start with the misconceptions. I mean, it's not a misconception, but running a business is hard. I would say the biggest misconception is that the harder you work, that then the closer you will be to success. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think working hard is really important, but you have to work hard on the right things. And for me, for to hit that success, to hit your goals, you need to work outside the business or on the business, should I say, rather than just in the weeds every single day. And I kind of see it as making myself redundant from the role. I've always tried to do that. I've always tried to go to that next step. In the role that I'm in as managing director, the less day to day activities I'm involved in, and I can do that by having a good team around me that can take
Mhm.
control of that, then allows me to then work on what I perceive as the bigger picture stuff, the 3, 5, 10 year goals. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest misconception in my eyes. It's not just about working harder; it's about working harder on the right things. And for me, that's on the business, not in the business. Uh,
Right.
and then in relation to your second question, family business is my favourite topic. So family businesses is all I've ever known, and they're great. And I actually think if you get it right, you create a business that is not like no other business. But you have to do it for the right reasons. And I'd say calling yourself a family business, providing obviously you've got the family there, it comes with a level of expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a really good USP for you. It can be something that differentiates yourself. From a customer perspective, they expect a better service. There's no doubt about it. If you call yourself a family business and you give a poor service, they'll call you up and say, I expected more from a family business. So that
Right.
expectations is there. But
Mm.
once again, you can use it to your advantage. You can create a service. So we give a lifetime guarantee because that's the biggest sort of promise we can give to our customers. So if anything goes wrong, we're going to be there to help them free of charge. That's our
True.
commitment as a family
Mm.
business. And then from an employee point of view, they also expect more, I'd say, from you. If you're a family business, they expect to be cared for more. They expect that if they were to become sick or if they were to become ill, you're going to look after them.
Mm.
They could expect to maybe be benefited more than other companies, but the expectations there once again that they want to feel cared for. In fact, we've recruited people before that have joined because it's a family business. They want that nice way of working. They want that culture which feels
Mm.
familiar to them, where they feel like they belong to something, belong to a nice family, not physical family in terms of the family that started a business, but the connections that they make there. So that's what people want. And you have to be able to deliver on that, because if you don't,
Mm-hmm.
then you're going to be found out basically, either by the customers or the employees. And then the other side of it is dynamics. Would I recommend a family business to every family? No, not a chance. You have to be a certain type of family, I believe, to be a family business. You have to be able to have really tough conversations at work, but leave it at the door. Um, if you are having a debate with someone, or maybe even an argument with, let's say, your mum or your uncle, your cousin, whatever that is, once you leave work, you want to still be invited to Christmas. So you have to be able to leave it there. And then finally, I'd say one of the most important things is, if you do start a family business, you need to make sure your goals are aligned. If there's multiple family members there, so I'm super ambitious. I'm really driven. I want to
Ah.
scale the company up. However, if you then have, let's say, a shareholding team or family, and they're more conservative, then you might have a dynamic issue there. And that's where you need to have that open conversation, that alignment, so that there isn't then problems down the line.
Jamie, you covered my next question as well. Would you recommend it? And you've answered it so nicely. And it's so clear in terms of how the dynamics play a major role in the family business. Jamie, you talked about your business in depth. What are the challenges that you're facing currently, and how do you address them?
Yeah, so coming on as managing director last year, at the start of the year, like I said, I've got really big plans for Comfort Plus. I think when you create a business with such foundations, it's going to get to that point in time, whether
Mhm.
I'm in the seat or someone else. But I'm really trying to grow that quickly. And when you have growth, or you're putting in initiatives for growth to happen, there's lots of change, and people struggle with change sometimes. And
Right.
sometimes change, they overcome the change, and then there's a new challenge. And that happens with growth, especially with new initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
So currently, I'd say the biggest challenge is almost creating like this mindset engine, if you call it that, where it's continuous adaptation. So you overcome a challenge, and then you're still resilient, you're still driven. There's going to be another challenge. Okay, let's get over that challenge, whether that's operations, sales, marketing, finance, whatever department, they're all going to have their own challenges. But for a company to really grow quickly and scale continuously, there has to be that sort of engine, or if you call it that. What do
Mm.
I do to try and help that? I think the most important thing is communication. So consistently communicating what's working well, maybe what's not working well, but obviously why it's not working well, um, and creating that feedback loop so everyone feels involved and understood. They know the direction, they know why we're going in that direction, why we're investing in X, Y, Z. And by doing that, I think you start to build this sort of momentum. And that's kind of at the stage we're at now.
Thank you, Jamie, for providing the information for that clarity. It does help. Jamie, so for any business, people are core. Your team is core for any business. Talking about the team, what qualities look for when you're hiring people, and I mean, how do you foster a positive and a productive work environment?
Yeah, so key for us is our culture, and that stems from creating good values. And we, when we hire, and we've made mistakes in the past, as everyone does, and more often than not, that mistakes is made based on a team fit or a
Mhm.
culture fit. So it's really important that we try to understand the values of someone. If they are going to be a good culture fit, I mean, you can do that in many ways. We've put people on trials. We've introduced it to the team before. We've done personality tests before. One of the key things that I like to do is to have an interview off-site, whether that's a coffee shop. I've done it at a pub before. Um, it creates a situation which is natural. People let their guard down. I let my guard down. You're not in a wall, like four walls that are white, and it's just you and someone else across the table. You're in an open environment where unpredictable things happen. I've had it before where in these meetings, I actually don't know what the person looks like. They don't know what I look like. That's kind of
Mm.
deliberate on my part because I want to create this initial engagement, which is it's just like, how does someone react in that environment? You know, how does someone react when they don't know who to look for? And it helps break the ice. There's also been times where I've gone to order coffee and it's taken 15 minutes for the barista to pass us the coffee, and I'm waiting there to bring the coffee over because there isn't table service. So in that moment, it's not ideal. But actually, how does the candidate react at that moment? Are they engaging with the other staff? Are they engaging with other customers? Are they just sitting on their phone? And it just creates unpredictable moments, but that's telling of someone's real nature. So I'd say that's the most important part there. And then once someone is employed, I'm really keen on allowing someone to own their department. If you're
Mhm.
going to bring someone in with a certain expertise and skills, it's important that you allow them to show you that. Initially, obviously, they do need some training, they need some mentorship, but once they become more understanding in the role, it's then allowing them to own that and to show us what they can do. And sometimes we've done that wrong. Maybe we haven't given enough guidance as we should. They might have felt that they've been thrown in the deep end, but more often than not, someone feels that we trust them in that role and it allows them to show us what they can do. And then engagement goes up once again.
Wow, Jamie. I mean, the way that you test people, the way you check on their behaviors, it's just amazing. Talking about it, we've talked so much about your business. So just quickly changing the focus basically towards your personal life. So how do balance both the personal and the professional life? How do you keep up with the demands of running a business?
Yeah. So I don't think there's not, in my eyes, a formula for this. I can't say that it should be 70% work, 30% home life, 50-50, 30-70, whatever that is. I think it really just depends on the individual and their priorities and their goals. I mean, at the moment, I have no kids. My wife, she works and commutes, and she has long days, Monday to Friday, and that means I typically will work till seven, Monday to Friday, and sometimes over the weekend. But I haven't got commitments at home that I have to be back for. So my
Right.
priorities are my work. It's what I enjoy. I've got that home structure, which my wife knows that I really enjoy it as well. So it's easy for me. Obviously, if you were to have kids, if you then your priorities may need to change, or they may not have to change. It depends on your goals. Once again, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer in this. It all just comes down to what you prioritize most.
True.
But for me, I would say the key thing to allow me to maybe work as hard as I do, be engaged as hard as I am at work, is I think it's so important to have that fitness behind it, that health behind it.
Yeah.
So for me, health and fitness is key. I prioritize that over watching TV at night. So I choose to go to bed at 9 o'clock to get up at 5 to go to the gym for 6.
Wow.
That's me. That's what I prioritize. Once again, it comes down to that. And then I like to set myself events once or twice a year, which are kind of endurance events. The reason I do that, because once again, it holds me accountable that I have to be up to a certain level by that date. If I'm not, I'm going to really struggle and hurt, which I don't want to do. So
True.
getting up to, go on a run or whatever that might be, becomes easy because, at the end of it, you know where your goals are and what you're prioritizing on. I hope that made
Jamie, that
sense.
no, totally. And Jamie, this was so inspirational, so good. I'm sure our listener have learned and picked up so many things. Is there any closing remark or a golden nugget that you would like to share with the audience? I mean, you have
Ooh.
shared many, but a golden nugget to sum up this podcast.
Yeah, I think the key for me is it's just owning it ultimately. Owning your role, allowing others to own their role. And what does that look like for me in my role? It's giving it
Mm-hmm.
the best I can, learning as much as I can, just showcasing what you can do as well, and having real belief. I think that's I spoke about fitness and health. One of the reasons I do that is because that allows me to believe in myself more when I'm challenged, when I have when the market's not going our way or there's an internal problem. I believe that we will overcome it. I don't underestimate that at all. I know we will overcome it, and that belief stems from the health and fitness. So that all comes under to me, owning my role and then enjoying it.
Jamie, thank you so, so much for your time today. It was great meeting you and knowing so much about your journey. And to everyone watching, I look forward to see you in my next episode. Thank you, Jamie.
Yes. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.